Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the MG podcast, streaming live on Tuesday. Yes, that's right, I said Tuesday the 5th of July, 2022. We're here to talk about all MG electric vehicles, hoping to inform and entertain you for about an hour or so. I'm Dave Stewart, Dave S on the forum, and I have a ZS, and I'm eagerly awaiting a new ZS long range. And joining us this week from West Yorkshire is Jake. Hello, Jake.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jake Newis, MG ZSEV West Yorkshire on the forum, and I drive a long-range Trophy Connect.
And I envy you. Also joining us from Wigan is Les Burrows. Good evening, Les.
Good evening, Dave. I'm Les Burrows, same name on the forum, and I'm driving an MG5 Mark 1, the SR, short range, waiting for a new one to come available whenever.
Well, we might be speaking about something you're interested in tonight, Les. And from Essex, Barry's here.
Good evening, Barry Hager, Barry H on the forum, and I drive that beautiful red ZS behind me.
Perfect. And as ever, joining us from the Chorley Group MG in England, Innovation Development Manager, Miles Roberts.
Hi everyone, Miles Roberts CG on the forum. I'm currently driving an MG5 long range.
Perfect. Welcome everybody. If you're watching live, thank you for joining us in. I see we've got 69 watching already, which is brilliant. Please click on the like button and join in the discussion in the chat window, and we'll be keeping a good weather eye on that and seeing what comments are being made, and hopefully we can respond to them either verbally or by responding by the chat. If you're watching later, thank you for choosing to watch the video, and please subscribe and get a notification when we next go live. I think we've got a few folk out this week by moving from a Monday to a Tuesday, but it was for all for good reasons. Sorry for the slight late start, but there was a wee technical problem. But in tonight's podcast, we're discussing the MG5 pricing and specification news, and Miles has got some news for us there. There's also the new MG4, which is, again, eagerly awaited. And then we've got some updates on boot liners, particularly for the MG5, which several members have been asking for, and it's going to be available shortly, we believe, from the Hatchbag company in Birkenhead, and possibly from other major retail outlets as well. Also, my backdrop today, if everybody can see, is the public charger on the Isle of Colonsay, where I was off on holiday for a couple of weeks, which is blocked by a 40-foot container and scaffolding. So I'm going to start a thread on the forum. Is this the most inaccessible charger in the UK? Let's hear your comments. So without further ado, Miles, can you update us? There's been some information dropped into your inbox on the MG5's pricing.
Yeah, so the MG5 long range facelift was previewed at Goodwood Festival of Speed last week before. And on Friday, the 1st of July, MG announced that the pricing and the start of sales. They will now take orders for the new MG5. Their press release that's come through says the new version of the multi-award-winning MG5 EV features a number of styling enhancements inside and out, as well as significant upgrades in technology that will only enhance its position as one of the most popular EVs on sale in the UK today. Given that the last orders of the current model MG5 EV were placed in April and all of those are sold, our view was that by opening orders now, prospective customers who were either disappointed in not being able to secure the existing model or were contemplating a competitor now have the option to put themselves at the front of the queue for the new facelift MG5. Production is scheduled to begin later this summer. We would expect to have first deliveries before the end of the year. Clearly, this is an ever-changing situation. We're hopeful that we can maintain that schedule. Just some side knowledge on that is that Shanghai's been on lockdown for the last 2 to 3 weeks through June. So that's obviously had a knock-on effect for all of the suppliers and obviously MG China themselves. In terms of upgrades, so they say that, obviously there's been some upgrades. Well, the most obvious changes are to the exterior of the vehicle with a much more contemporary and athletic appearance, is what they say. LED headlamps are now standard equipment across the range, which have been renamed as SE and Trophy to match with the ZS EV. The Trophy also now comes with rear privacy glass, which is a tinted glass on the car, which is obviously a welcome. At the back, the bumper and rear lights, which are now LED, have been completely redesigned. The new wheel designs also applicable for both the SE, which has 16-inch wheels with like an aero cover across them, and 17-inch alloy wheels for the Trophy, which are a sort of two-tone black and polished chrome sort of five split spoke affair, as you may be able to see on those pictures. The changes are not limited to the exterior. There's been a complete redesign of the interior with a new 7-inch driver display and 10.25-inch widescreen navigation unit, with the latest software seen on the recently introduced ZS EV. So again, it's moved to an Android-based system rather than the Windows-based previous navigation system with the coloured tiles. This is compatible with iSmart on both trim levels, which is a significant and much desired requirement for EV customers. The EV interior trim colour will be similar to the current variant, so it will be the darker colour rather than the lighter variant you may have seen on European left-hand drive cars. Also seen on the new ZS EV is the inclusion of vehicle-to-load technology, giving users the ability to power other electric devices using the energy stored in the battery, such as e-bikes, portable heaters, or camping equipment. You will not find this level of technology, which has been fitted as standard on the new MG5 EV, without spending significantly more money, and in most cases, it's a more costly optional extra with other brands. The dimensions of the vehicle are unchanged, with boot capacity and with seats folded, the huge and unrivaled 1,367 litres for an EV at this price level. Both trim levels come with silver roof rails, so both the SE and the Trophy will both have the roof rails, and they are capable of carrying up to 75 kilos, Les.
I know that.
It uses the same 61.1 kilowatt hour battery introduced last year, with maximum power remaining unchanged at 115 kilowatts. It's around 165 horsepower. At the time of writing, the final homologation figures have yet to be received, meaning we are unable to confirm figures relating to charging time or maximum driving range. It is unlikely that they are going to be significantly different from the previous model. Like new MG ZS EV, the new MG5 EV is now capable of having a tow bar equipped up to 500 kilos, suitable for a rear-mounted bike rack or small camping trailer. So with the significant equipment and technical upgrades seen on new MG5 EV, we're acutely aware of the fantastic value for money position that's led to those previous 8,000 sales since the car went on sale. For that reason, we've worked extremely hard to achieve a correct balance between equipment upgrades, but also the price. And with that in mind, the price increase of £1,300 for the SE model over the original Excite, and £1,500 for a Trophy over the exclusive, over their respective outgoing variants, represents unbeatable value for money in the current marketplace. So the SE long range will be priced at £30,995 on the road, and the Trophy long range will be priced at £33,495. So £2,500 between the two. So just to go over the pricing and equipment, so the SE comes as standard with MG Pilot, LED headlights and rear lights, roof rails, auto lights, rear parking camera, 16-inch alloy wheels, adaptive cruise control, driver's seat lumbar support, vehicle to load, the 10.25-inch touchscreen display with an Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and iSmart, and that's at $39,995. It's a lot of specification actually in that if you compare with other manufacturers. Moving across to the Trophy, so an extra £2,500 on top basically. The equipment upgrades against the SE are you get rear privacy glass, a leather interior, electric driver's seat, 17-inch alloy wheels, heated front seats, auto air conditioning climate control, rain sensing wipers, and 360-degree cameras. So it's quite a few upgrades on there over the outgoing exclusive spec. There are two new colours for the new MG5 EV, Cosmic Silver, which is like a light silver, and Hampstead Grey. which is a darker color, slightly darker than the current silver we have on the MG5. Both of these paints are metallic. Arctic White is a solid paint. Black Pearl remains as metallic. Piccadilly Blue, same as the current one, and Dynamic Red. They're all carried over from the existing car. Order banks are open as of the 1st of July for sold customer orders only. So people can't just block book massive fleet orders and claim stock, which is part of the reason why we had problems with the supply of the ZS EV, because some people were just grabbing stock and holding it from the rest of the market. So at the moment, until all the data in terms of range and charging times and things is finalized, they won't be able to get any information from the data providers like CAP. So they can't quote any finance figures at the moment because the residual values haven't been firmed up by the ones that set them, which is basically CAP is one of the biggest ones in the market. However, it's their intention to secure the highest possible residual value, which makes MG5 even more competitive on finance packages. And that information will be shared as soon as it's available in the UK. So if you go on MG's website, mg.co.uk, you can see a whole load of videos and photos of the new vehicle. If you wish to place an order, dealers are accepting orders immediately. At Surely Group, we're taking orders for a £99 deposit. So if anyone's interested in the new MG5, again, obviously, if the finance figures come out and the outside of your budget, we can refund the £99. That's not an issue. But if you would like to place a deposit for one of these cars, we expect the cars arriving at the end of the year as per MG's expectations.
So that's answered Daniel's question. Just when can we order? Because obviously a lot of MGs are on freeze at the moment. Can you just recap the two top line prices again, please, Miles?
Yeah, so the SE is at £30,995, so £30,995, and the Trophy is at £33,495.
Yeah.
So as I say, it's a lot higher price than what the original MG5 was pitched at, partially due to the fact that there's no grants available overseas anymore. So whereas Les, you probably got, was it £3,000 or £4,000 off the government and a discount off MG?
Yeah,
when you bought yours.
I did when I bought mine, yeah. I got everything, yeah. I did very well. I did very well.
We've had a price increase and no more grants. So, but I think it's sort of indicative of the market we're in at the moment, because with used car values holding the way they are, and
yeah, it's good.
Most stock not being available, there's just not the deals out there. There's no, in a rising market in terms of cost, there's very little incentive for manufacturers to try and offer financing packages, incentives, and cut the costs and things, and also for the governments to offer grants and things, because people buy the cars anyway.
Two questions, Matt. Sorry, Jake.
Also, sorry, Les, you go on.
Oh, just two questions, Miles, if you don't mind. The prices you've quoted, I presume, are for white cars.
Yes. So the price of the
there's still an increase for a different colour.
Yeah, £500 odd for the metallic, and the tri-coat is 700. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I understand that. And the other question is, you said at the beginning of that the lighter colour interior, which we've seen on Pat's car, which he got a few weeks ago, is not going to be available in the UK.
Sadly, that appears to be the case. Yeah. So I think it's down to the obviously when they're manufacturing cars for the right-hand drive market, there are different. The seats have got the buttons on the other side for the driver, passenger, etc. I think that they've made a decision that they only want to make one trim color. Again, it comes down to MG's ideology, which is let's not offer any options. Let's just build the cars as they. Whether they will do in the future, I don't know. When manufacturing improves.
That disappoints.
I know it does me as well, because I quite like that light grey.
I like it.
I think that they've probably just taken the decision on the basis of ease of manufacture, rather than thinking, if we choose a light colour interior, that your average fleet buyer might be put off because they think it's going to be, harder to keep up with.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Miles, you know, the original ZS, and I guess the current one has NCAP 5-star. Does the MG5, or is that something?
We haven't been given any information about that yet. I don't know if it is in Europe, actually. I haven't. I guess we can Google it and see if it's had a rating in Europe yet.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Is the answer?
you would hope. You would
I will
hope
try.
MG would follow that through, wouldn't you, for the new facelift at least? And then, because certainly with all that extra spec, they should reach the standard that the ZS did.
Well,
Yeah,
it originally said that the MG5 didn't get any sort of NCAP rating because it never had things like the autonomous cruise and the braking and all this, that, and the other wasn't on the MG5 when it first came out. But then when the long range came out, that came out with all that equipment on it. And I still don't see an NCAP rating for it. So whether this one's going to have one or not, I don't know.
I would have thought that they would now, because it's the same model as they've got across Europe. It makes sense for them financially to. Before, when they only sold 8,000 cars over 2 years, if they've got to send 10 cars to NCAP to get written off, it's quite a high cost, really, for a low sales volume. With the new one, I imagine it probably would. I don't. Yeah. I don't know about they haven't been given any information about the rating as yet. I would imagine that they would be submitting it, but I don't have any details at the moment.
It wasn't
because the long range was only a stopgap for the UK market, really, wasn't it? So it's quite small volumes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake, were you coming in there?
I was just going to say it wasn't long after the original ZS that came out, the NCAP was released and all the testing was done. So yeah, I think we'll be probably, surprised.
In the autumn, later in the year, I think we probably will see that come through.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Miles, there's a couple of queries in the chat. David Braithwaite's asking about the software improvements. You mentioned some there. Could you just recap on that again, please?
So software updates for the current MG5, so the new MG5, sorry. You said that it's been, well, they moved from the potentially old, slightly laggy system that they had with the Windows-based system that was in the original MG5. And they've moved to the Android-based system, same as what's in the new ZS EV. And I'm sure if you've tried it in the showroom, or Jake, you can speak from first-hand experience, it's a lot smoother. It's a lot less glitchy as the nav unit now. It's a lot quicker to operate and everything. So that's the main sort of software enhancement, obviously together with the improvement to the, having iSmart, for example.
I think David was actually looking at getting the ZS.
Dave Braithwaite was asking about the, sorry. Yeah, I think I'm a bit laggy on my audio here, but I think Dave Braithwaite was asking whether there would be updates on the software to the original ZS now that we're getting further models coming through, or has that now been frozen?
There won't be any significant upgrades, I would have thought. I mean, we had the comfort upgrade, which obviously changed a few things around a couple of years ago. I don't see there being any further investment in terms of writing software for that old system. They'll support it still. And if there's any changes, for example, with new charging protocols and things like that, then they will do software updates for that purpose. But I don't see them changing there will be certain limitations of the hardware as to what they're actually able to run on there in terms of, change. So, for example, they're not going to add V2L to the old car, for example, because that would require a hardware change as well as software. So there may be some, modest software tweaks from time to time to do with, battery charging and that sort of thing, but not likely anything that you'd see on the surface.
With all the benefits that you just mentioned, Miles, coming with the new MG5, all the tech benefits, those are definitely something that if I had a current MG5 would consider upgrading for, because my wife still has the outgoing ZS. I've now got the new Trophy, and the massive differences. And it's like you say, the infotainment screen's much less laggy. The app is brilliant. The vehicle to load is brilliant. I trim my garden with the vehicle to load. There's all sorts of things that the new car can do that the old doesn't. And I'm sure the MG5 people that do decide to go for it will love it because of the little tweaks that they've made. It all makes it a better car.
I suppose that's the thing, Jake, when you've got such a sprawling estate such as yourself, to be able to, use your trimmer further away from the house than you can reach, from one of the bedroom windows in the mansion. It's it's useful that you just got to get somebody to drive it and follow you around with it, isn't that? That's the thing.
That's it. Well, I even drive to the local park now, Mike, and stream there as well.
Jake's new ride on more as a ZSEV. Is that what I heard?
I did actually, Miles. I nearly went to the vehicle festival at the weekend, and I was going to set up a vehicle to load cafe and do cups of tea for everybody, but I just didn't make it, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, next year we can probably do something like that.
Yeah. Les was going to take his onto the lawn as well, but the neighbours complained about the brakes again.
Yeah, definitely. Still doing it.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. A couple of side issues there that have come up. Shanghai being in lockdown again. It did open up for a couple of weeks, didn't it? At the end of June, end of May.
So I think about the 7th of June, he went back into certain areas of Shanghai, went into lockdown again. Yeah. So they're not even across the entire city, but it's certain provinces. So it means that some of the workers won't be able to go to work, but some others will. So it makes it really, really hard for any of the manufacturers out there. And also, things like the ports, which become clogged because they haven't got enough staff to be able to unload them or whatever. So yeah, it's really not good.
Okay. And a couple of wee comments just in the sidebar there. Edge Reviews is asking if it's basically the same car just with a facelift, would it not automatically get the new NCAP rating? I don't think that's the case, is it? If you make any modification.
The old car didn't have an NCAP rating, so that's why they never submitted the old one for NCAP because they knew there was a facelift coming in a greater volume. So that's why they held off. So, and also because it didn't have all of the tech specs on the original MG5. So I think that now I would expect it to be submitted for NCAP.
The interior light question has been asked again.
In the new one.
It does.
It was on the new one. Yeah, Pat showed that on his car. So
there's two in the rear. Where the grab angles are, there's two. If you look at the videos in the rear.
I've got a photo, so I can see them now.
MG Hatch come back saying that the new infotainment system is a lot snappier. So
I don't know if you've noticed, it's also in the Marvel R, the same format. Even though it's on a bigger screen, obviously much longer screen, the actual software and design is used in the Marvel R, so it is definitely much improved.
Jake,
so no, it's not.
Has your car got the rear lights in the new?
No, it hasn't. Unfortunately,
you still not got them. No, surprising me.
No, it's not a big problem, but with all the other bits and pieces that I've got, I'm more than happy with it.
Yeah. But quite a few people complained over the months and months they've had no lights in there. They've tried all sorts of different things, but I know the new MG5 has got them in.
It does make sense putting them in, I have to be honest.
Two on the grab angles.
Yeah.
One either side, which is good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just Edge Reviews saying there that availability of MG cars is non-existent at the moment, and I think that's just a well-known fact. There's no orders mainly for the main models, or you're not taking orders for the main models currently, are you, Miles?
So we are now taking orders again for the ZSEV, and now obviously for the new MG5. So yeah, they have reopened ordering for us now. We'll see how that goes, but at the moment, that's. Having said that, I think that part of the reason for the pre-release of some information about the new MG4 is possibly because they want to avoid a situation where people order MG ZS EV or MG5 and then switch to an MG4 in a couple of months and cancel the original order and they've got the wrong production in place and things. So I think they're wanting to do like give people the information now, because if they've got long production delays anyway, they might as well gear up and order the right bits to build the car that people actually want to buy, rather than having a situation where we're, hopping them from one deposit to the next because they keep changing their mind on which car they would like. So maybe that brings us on to talking actually about the MG4.
Yeah, well, unless you want to big it up or leave the anticipation, get the atmosphere electric. So just nastily just to do that. You mentioned Goodwood. Did you see the electric car that won the hill race at Goodwood?
Oh, did I? It honestly, to me, it looked as if I'd hit fast forward on the TV, because you're not used to see this McMurty, wasn't it? Basically, it was, missile. It was this car with a fan that basically like a vacuum that sucks it to the road, and because of that, the normal laws of physics don't really apply to it. So it was going around corners at speeds that seemed unfathomable, just glued to the road as it went round. And the dart, I mean, a hell of a thing to drive, I imagine. It terrified the hell out of me just watching it, because I thought, if the fan suddenly breaks, that's it. That's your that's goodbye. There's nothing, there's nothing you can do about that, is there? I thought it was a fantastic advert for EV, and I think it also went to show that you don't have to have a lot of noise to be engaging. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that, but
I thought it was a magnificent car. I thought it was just so exciting to watch. And can you confirm or deny if that new hovercraft system is going to be on the new MG4?
MG has not released that in the specification list as yet. I suspect not.
Maybe Elon Musk will try it instead of using the retro rockets or whatever he's got planned for the road stuff.
It's what I think is it's quite funny though that they managed to make that relatively small manufacturer there has managed to design and build a car, which is basically a vacuum and a car, with a lot less investment and a lot less manpower than Dyson failed to build their vacuum car. Yeah. And they build vacuums and cars. So I think that it was, I just very impressive, and I say a fantastic headline grabber for electric vehicles for the right reasons.
Absolutely fantastic car. Les was uninterested because it didn't have roof rails.
Thanks, Dave. I'll tell you one thing though, it's going to put all the road sweepers out of business, isn't it?
Be good in the snow.
You've got cars not with big fans.
well done, Stuart. He's got an image of it up. That is, it was a fantastic car. Not best looking, but it was so exciting to watch. And
you kind of expected Bruce Wayne to get out of it, didn't you? It was very much like a Batmobile sort of look to it.
Definitely.
Great. So one or two wee comments coming up there. It's just put a good one in there. It's a while since we actually ran the Santa list. Remember, what would you like to see in your car for Christmas? So maybe we'll start that thread going again. And because
I strongly suspect that most of the replies will be just, I just really hope I get my car by Christmas.
Yeah, a car
with a creamy interior.
But we would like to reckon that list that we prepared and you sent on to MG on our behalf, Miles, actually had some bearing, and it seems that a lot of things.
Yeah, it was basically I gave it to the chief engineer at a conference and said, "This is the wish list of things that we wanted to get fixed." He looked down the list and said, "Well, half of these are things that we'd identified ourselves." And the other half are things that I agree with. So he says, "Yeah, we'll do what we can." So that's what resulted in the Comfort 2 update. So, I think that's refreshing from a car manufacturer. I can't think of a time. I mean, we've been Nissan dealers forever, and we've got 5 Nissan dealers. We've got more of a voice really with Nissan than we do with MG in some ways. And if I say to Nissan, I think you should change this on the Nissan Leaf because it's not successful, I'm just going to get shot down in flames and told that it's that way, it's this way or the highway sort of thing. Whereas with MG, they do seem quite keen to try and act on that advice and to try and improve where possible. So yeah, I think give them the due. I think that MG is trying. It's one of the ways in which they've helped to build the market presence that they've got now. I think they're over 3% of the current UK sales for all cars, which it's impressive for they're sort of in line with they're ahead of people like Renault. So it's a pretty big thing really.
I I've just seen Steve Green's added, is there a strimmer attachment? Steve, if Les picks up on that one, there probably will be by spring of next year. Yeah.
You can buy strimmers these days fitting with their own batteries. You don't need power anymore.
Anyway, so let's move on. And yes, as the main thread of our podcast today is the exciting news this week of the MG4. So again, Miles, sorry, I'm dumping a lot onto you tonight, but
it's fine. Yeah, no, I'll go through the official press release. So, all new MG4 EV has been confirmed for September debut on the new MSP platform. It's the first of a series of MG models using the Advanced Modular Scalable Platform, or MSP architecture. It's a flexible platform which delivers outstanding safety, efficiency, and driver engagement. And the innovative MSP platform will also be prepared for future technologies, showcasing MG's forward-thinking design strategy. So, MG Motor UK has revealed the first UK images of its new MG4 EV ahead of a launch in September. The key new model will utilise MG's innovative MSP, state-of-the-art battery architecture that will underpin the next generation of MG models. Designed for a wide range of vehicles, the MSP can be used flexibly in models across different vehicle segments, from hatchbacks to SUVs and sports cars. Suitable for wheelbases ranging from 2,650 to 3,100 millimeters. The manufacturer has also revealed its new integrated battery structure has a height of just 110 millimeters, enhancing road holding and driving engagement even further. The MG4 EV marks a bold new direction for MG Motors UK, with the company underlining an enhanced driving experience derived from the new rear-wheel drive platform, which allows for 50-50 weight distribution. The new MSP has been designed to maximize battery efficiency, with concerted efforts to further reduce weight and allow scalable range and performance for a wide variety of customer requirements, offering enhanced interior space and luggage capacity. Initially available with battery capacities from 51 kilowatt hours to 64 kilowatt hours, the MG4 EV will be capable of between 218 and 281 miles range on the WLTP cycle. MG has adopted a progressive strategy when designing its new platform. The architecture allows integration with future technologies, including battery swap systems, while the service-oriented architecture, or SOA, will enable vehicles to receive over-the-air OTA updates throughout their life cycle. David Allison, the head of product and planning to MG Motors UK, said, "The MG4 EV is a key part of the next phase of growth for MG. Our new MSP architecture will enable us to offer multiple options for the rapidly expanding UK electric car market, with all choices reinforcing our reputation for outstanding design, market-leading technology, and excellent value for money." The announcement marks a pivotal moment for MG following the sales success of its existing range of pure electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles, with the brand growing by 83% in the first 5 months of 2022, in a market which has contracted by 8.7% during the same period. Further details on the new MG4 EV will be released soon, including announcements of UK pricing, the full specifications, and the official first UK viewings. For more details, stay tuned to mg.co.uk. So, first of all, I suppose they've launched a series of a few graphics of a bright orange car. What do we think? Obviously, it looks completely different to the ZS EV, perhaps slightly more closer to the new facelift MG5. But I'll open it to the floor and see what you guys think if you want to go around.
It's like an ID3 to me.
Yeah. That's the platform.
That's what strikes me is the structure is that, and I would imagine that from that statement that you read, it looks like it's been set up to target the VW playbook.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I think that, and I think, Jake, you said that it looks an awful lot like the Seat Born.
Yeah, the Cupra.
Cupra Born. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you put
Yeah.
the two images next to each other, the ID4, sorry, the ID3, the Cooper Born, and the MG4, they look very similar. Probably very similar in size as well. In some, I've seen somebody mentions the Nissan Leaf. That could be a similar size to the MG4 as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's ID3. It's golf sort of size, isn't it? Really, you know. So
Yeah.
Rear wheel drive, obviously, you know, that's a departure for MG. Previously going for front wheel drive. The architecture, I believe, allows for all wheel drive as well. Although there's no talk of that from MG UK for the MG4 at the moment. But perhaps for future models, it is a possibility that they would bring that.
Yeah.
So when, Miles, you know, the weight ratio split, you know, when you put something in the back as the motor, are they likely to put the batteries more, not rather than underneath, more at the front? Is that what we're saying, or?
No. So the batteries are directly in the middle underneath the vehicle.
Okay.
On a normal car, you've got a lot of weight on the front with all of the, if you think about an empty car, you've got a lot of weight under the dashboard area because you've got all the heaters, all the electronics for the car, you know, the 12-volt batteries, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you've normally got the motor or the engine there as well. And that makes it nose heavy. By balancing it out, by putting the motor in the rear, that brings some of the weight back so that it means that it should, let's say they're saying 50-50 on there, which would be, you know, that should give better handling. I mean, 50-50 weight distribution with a rear wheel drive car should, you know, that's sort of BMW M3 sort of territory in terms of, you know, how they set up their cars, isn't it? So I think that, far from the sort of tail happy rear engined rear wheel drive Porsche slapping around wet corners, I think hopefully by having the 50-50 weight distribution should mean that you still get predictable handling. There are various arguments for having driven rear wheels and the front wheels just doing the steering, so that you don't get the torque steer, you don't get as much skittishness, because the wheels at the front are just doing the pointing, and the ones at the back are the ones that are pushing you through.
You can also put more power down on the road, can't you? Because as the weight transfers backwards, as when you accelerate, it's going onto the wheels which are driven.
Yeah, you'll see this on the MG5 and other cars. When you accelerate, the front pitches up slightly, and it loads the back of the car with the weight, and it takes the weight off the front, which is why on a lot of cars with a lot of torque, like the MG5, there's a tendency for the front wheels to start skidding slightly and wheel spinning, because you're unloading the front, you're loading the weight off them. So yeah, having rear wheel drive should really improve the handling quite well. I zoomed in on the images that MG sent out, and the tire size that I could read on there was 225/65/17, which is quite a lot bigger tire in diameter and everything compared to even the ZS EV. Now, I don't know if that's just a render thing and that's not the actual final tire size, but if that, it seems strange that they would render that onto the picture. If it was, if it was just a computer calculation, you'd think they would do it with an actual tire size. But if it's 225/65/17, that's closer in overall diameter to the MGHS wheel size. So it is a big tire. It's not going to be a small. We've been quite used in the past to MGs having penny wheels that are sat well in on the wheel arches, and the cars look underwheeled. I don't think there's any risk of that with this car. It looks good. I think it looks good on the photos. So
one comment I picked up on that was when you were talking about it. Though, I looked at the how can I say, the skeleton picture of the chassis, what they've put out. The battery arrangements in the centre, like most of the others anyway, but it looked very much to me, very, very similar layouts and everything to the BYD Blade battery that they've been banishing.
I mean, Seik used Castle batteries, so I don't know if it's CATL batteries, so I don't know if it's the same battery design that is used by BYD. I'm not sure.
It looks very similar to the Blade battery.
I read through some of the technical stuff, and they was talking about laying the battery down. So it might be, if it's like blades, so rather than being vertical, it was laying them on their side. That's what, because they show that illustration when they expand the capacity, when you watch the video, that it's like double decks the battery.
Yeah.
So it's 110, which is quite slender.
That's the other thing, Barry. It's exactly the same dimension as the blade battery, which has always been banished about as being the slimmest there is. It's 110 millimeters, and now this one's coming in as 110 millimeters. So I think there's a bit of getting together with BYD, perhaps, and MG and designing this battery. Maybe. I don't know.
Has anybody noticed on the images as well on the nose of the MG4? There's the new parking sensors, which none of the MG so far.
Yeah.
I also noticed a camera in the middle at the front as besides the parking sensors. So that probably, Miles, will be the first MG 60 and front parking sensors, I would imagine.
Yeah, it looks like it's got 360 cameras, I think, on that render, and parking sensors around. I imagine that they will be, as if they've got 360 cameras on the ZS that you've got as well, and on the new MG5.
Yeah,
that'll be offered on the MG4. I suspect there may be some additional sort of utilization to do with perhaps self-parking as well. That might be something that they're doing as well, similar to Nissan Leaf and so on. I mean, I say I've got no further information other than what MG has put on its press release. I know that there has been some details of a Chinese model. In China, it's called the MG Mulan, rather than the MG4.
Yeah.
Apparently, because 4 in Chinese is not an auspicious sounding word, so they've called it the MG Mulan instead. There may be some differences in specifications. Certainly, the interior of the car picture that MG UK has submitted to us is all black, and on the video that I've seen for the Mulan, it looks like the inside of a candy store. It's like red and white and very, very garish. So there may well be some quite significant spec differences between the two vehicles. So I don't think we can draw too much from looking at the other car, apart from the fact that some of those colours might well arrive in the UK. External colours. I don't see the red and white interior coming to the UK.
Is it a styling thing? Sorry, Les, go on.
Car Buyer magazine and Auto Express in the last 2 days have put out a review on this thing, and they're looking at prices starting at around 28,000.
We have no information at the moment. I suppose, to be honest, I think that's probably a guess by those publications based on the fact that they think it would be priced slightly less than the MG5. Just numerically, it's a smaller model or whatever. We'll have to see, where they pitch it. At the moment, how much is the Born? Is that about 33? Is it for a reasonable spec? Or where do they start at? I'm not sure, but
I think it's probably around about 35 miles.
35, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I imagine that MG will pitch it below that, but at the same time, they're not going to pitch it too low because they know that they have a desirable car in their own right.
I don't pay much attention to prices on new cars anymore until they've actually got the figures, because of the simple fact that I've been disappointed so many times. The Aura Cat, for example, was said to be coming out at 25,000 and it came out at over 30. So I don't pay much attention to them anymore until we actually get the thing in black and white. So
there's a lot of things happening in the market, wasn't there? Go on, Joe.
I was just saying, I quite like the split spoiler at the back. I've noticed I was watching a car review earlier this evening on CarWow, and more electric cars seem to be having the split rear spoiler, and that seems to be appearing on the MG4 as well. Is that? I'm assuming that's just more aerodynamic features, and
I don't know. It looks kind of cool, but at the same time, I think it's gonna be awkward going through a car wash, isn't it? I don't know. There are some nice design touches on the car, I think. Like across the top of the rear light blade, we've got some like sort of diagonal red lines going across, like LED lights going across the top of the blade. There is like a sort of style thing. And you've got what looks to be a panoramic roof on that model as well.
Yeah.
So I think it looks like it will be a very desirable car. And obviously that's another thing, is that if the MG ZS CV is losing the panoramic roof, but the MG4 has a fully glass roof, as it appears to in that image, then I suspect that people may sway towards the MG4 as opposed to the ZS, even though it's not a crossover as such. But I've got no reference for scale really. I've looked at the dimensions and things, and it looks as if it's about the same size as an ID3 or the Bourne, but it doesn't. I don't know how big it's going to feel inside. One of the things that we've noticed with other brands when they've come up with this completely new architecture, where it is from the ground up an EV, is that the external dimensions don't bear much relation to the internal dimensions because they can repackage things so successfully. The internal dimensions of the car can feel much, much bigger than you would expect. So I've got high hopes for the MG4 if it's working on that basis, that it could be of a similar size to the ZS, even if if exterior is smaller, because it's all been purpose designed and repackaged. So completely flat floor is the sort of thing you'd like to see. Plenty of leg room, perhaps a float. It looks on the image of the dashboard as if there's a limited sort of floaty center console rather than it being a big blocky thing in the middle of the room. So it looks like, from what I can see, it looks like a really desirable car.
Very nice.
Yeah, it is very nice. Yeah.
The size of it seems to like a bit like I think it was the Renault Megane. They sort of seem as though they cave in, like they swooped well in the side. The side, I'm looking at the picture now in front of me. The side of it, the car seems to be very, very much swooped in, and the steering wheel is a weird shape,
like a sort of corseted waist.
It looks good. Yeah, the steering wheel looks like it's two spokes and it's sort of, I don't know, oblong shape. I don't know what you put it down to. I don't know what you said to it. It's not round.
Yeah, sort of like a sports sort of squashed oval.
Yeah,
sort of.
It does. Yes, a squashed oval, like somebody squashed it down.
Can anybody else remember the Austin Allegro?
That's the one. That's the one, Dave. Yeah, that was a laugh when that came out, wasn't
it? So there's quite a lot of thumbs up for the acceptance of the design, Miles. It's generally liked.
Yeah, I'd say I'm really excited to see it in the flesh. September doesn't seem so far away now, to be fair.
No, it's not.
In fact, to be fair, Dave, if somebody told you you're getting your car in September, you'd be made up, probably, wouldn't you?
Never know, Dave. You might be cancelling yours at X.
I'm straight for one of those. So, Miles, this would be quite a good time just to pause and reflect. What cars are going to be available? Obviously, there's the MG3, which is the petrol version is readily available just now. Is the EV? What's the update?
So the MG3 petrol is being wound down. So there's very limited stocks of those left. MG aren't really pushing it too much. It's the problem with MG has is with emissions on that. So it's quite a high emitting CO2 rating for a small car, which does it no service whatsoever when it comes to how they work out the emissions overall as a group. So by having a light car with a lot of emissions, it really screws up your figures. So they're not really pushing that too much. And to be fair, it's not a car that we've sold in great volume for the last 2 years, really. The MG ZS is still available as a petrol car, and obviously as the EV. Our sales of the EV, I'd say, are about 50-50 against the petrol version. The MG HS there are some cars available, but they've stopped taking orders on certain variants due to, again, production delays. The MG5, obviously, we've just started taking the orders for the new version. The old version is still outstanding orders of probably about 1,000 of those still waiting to come across. They should be here in the next month or two. We've got the MG4 coming out. We've got, hopefully at some point next year, there will be another new vehicle with a more sort of coupe stroke cabriolet sort of finish to it. We expect to hear some news about that next year. So I think that MG is going to go from having, when we took on the MG franchise, we had MG3, ZS Petrol, and HS, 3-car showroom. And now we're going to the stage where we're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger showroom. So the showroom we built at Chorley was a 7-car showroom, and I think that's going to be fairly full by the end of next year, which is it's a great place to be. I think that MG has grown a lot since we've started dealing with them, and they've gone from strength to strength.
No, certainly it's a good range of cars that's been added, and obviously, yeah, well done, sure. It's just the folk are asking. So where are we with the Cybester, the eMotion, the Marvel R? What's updates on all those?
No official news as yet. From what I can gather from Autocar, etc., is that the Cybester stroke, whatever they want to call it when it finally launches, the Coupe Cabriolet is in final development and will be launched next year. I have no other news about the other cars, apart from what rumors I've read on, again, online magazines and things.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can wait intently. Great. So that's the MG4. Let's watch the space. There will be updates, but pricing, etc. It's a bit too early to start looking at that. But if anybody does hear anything, please just post it. Any other comments about the MG4 before we move on?
Let me know, Miles, when you want the £99 deposit.
Yeah. So at the moment, don't get me wrong. I could say to everyone, if you want an MG4, call my dealership, give me your credit card number, and they'll take £99 off you, and we'll give you a call when the orders come in. The truth is, what tends to happen is that we take a whole lot of card deposits, and then people go to the local dealer when the prices are announced, and they match the price, whatever, and then we end up just cancelling the deposit. It creates a whole lot of admin. So I would prefer, actually, if people just send me a message on the forum and say, add me to your waiting list, and I'll give them all, and we'll get somebody to give them all a call. When the pricing comes out, we'll give them all a call. And then, we won't there's no point taking card payments, holding your money for a month or two when we're not going to do anything with it. We can't order the cars anyway. So it makes more sense to just do it this way. So yeah, if people are interested in the car, if they want to ping me a message on the forum, or if they want to call our branches, we'll just add them to a mailing list sort of thing for the MG4 information. As soon as it comes out, we'll advise them accordingly. With the MG5 facelift, we can order those now. So we'd happily, if people want to place deposits, we will order a physical car for them, do an order form, etc. And it's all, ready to go then, isn't it, really? So
I think
with the MG4, we were talking about, obviously you mentioned about the repackaging that's the new EV up platform gives you lots of space, and you can do interesting things with it. But it seems that the bias is mainly on creating lots of passenger space, and I wonder whether creating a car that's good 5 adult space has really enough luggage capacity for those 5 people.
Yeah, no, I get that, and obviously the reason why a lot of people buy the MG5 is because it's got a slightly bigger boot, slightly more usable boot space. I had a Citroen EC4 over the weekend. We've got 4 Citroen dealers now in our group, and the EC4 externally seems like quite a big car, but when I opened the boot, because I took the stuff for the car show, the EV festival at Gaydon, I took it all. Last year I took it all in a MG5. This year I took it all in the EC4. And I had to move the passenger seat forward quite a long way to be able to fit the gazebo in. And once I put the box of merch that I had in the back next to the gazebo, there wasn't anything more room in the boot, so everything else had to go on the back passenger seat. And the MG5 seemed to cope with that load a lot easier last year. And certainly when you put the box in the boot, you had more room, more space around it, and more. So I think that I think a larger boot, and this is one of the complaints that we've had from Norwegian viewers about the Marvel R, is it's a great car, but the boot's too small.
Yeah.
So I think that I think that, people have a certain expectation that they get a big car who's got a big boot, or even that they get a modest sized car, but it's still got a fairly big boot, because people still have loads of stuff they want to put in, push
You're saying
chairs,
it's
buggy,
smaller than
kids'
ZX.
bikes, and dogs. Big, we're a big dog-loving nation in the UK, and some of these dogs are very, very large, or you've got more than one, or whatever. So I think that not mine. Mine's 10 kilos. Is tiny, but a lot of people have, in the UK, have a requirement that they want to have a lot of boot space so they can put, one or two fairly hefty Labradors in the back, for example, which, they might not need a massive car at the front. And this is one of the things actually that somebody said about the BMW i3. So the BMW i3, very, very small car, very compact, 4 seats, and really it's sort of 2.5 doors on the car. But it's when you fold down the back seat, it becomes a 2-seater with a massive load capacity. And I think that sort of smaller car that can take either 4 passengers or it can become a 2-seat estate is actually quite a good thing. They've recently stopped, I think literally the 30th of June, they stopped making the BMW i3. It's been in production since 2013, I think it is. So it's been a long 9 years in the making. And I actually went down to the factory when they first launched it to have one of the first test drives. And I still think it stacks up as a totally over-engineered, beautifully made piece of equipment. I think that it's a really, really nice car. Tragically expensive. I never had one for myself because it was like 40 grand for a reasonable spec. Once you added on all the optional extras that you have to with BMW, like parking sensors or reversing camera or windscreen wipers and a horn. Windscreen wipers, horn, sat-nav screen that's bigger than 3 inches. Once you've added all those extras on, you're suddenly up to quite a big
grand on it, haven't
you? But anyway, so I think that, and I'm sure that MG, obviously the 4 is more of a golf-sized car. There will be a replacement for the MG3 in the future. Say MG3 has not been pushed very strongly by MG at the moment because of emissions and things. I think it's on run out. I think they will be using this platform. As they say in the description, it can go down to a 2.5 meter wheelbase for this new platform. So they're going to be looking at what they can scale this down to get a, I say an MG3, or even, there might be an MG2 and MG1. We don't, how small they want to go on it. But in China, there is a big market for these small EVs. And so I think that it would be remiss if MG didn't get a piece of that action.
There's a couple of comments in. One is typical of mine, which is I've just ordered a ZS EV trophy on order, and now the MG4 is released. So I feel quite similar to that. Another, Miles, do you know if the MG4 has a frunk or a fruit?
I do not know if it has a frunk or a fruit. I suspect it won't. So one of the things that I've seen with other cars that have been designed in this platform is that, like the Nissan Ariya, for example, what they've done is the Nissan Ariya is a big car, but it doesn't have any front trunk space. Instead, they've moved stuff out of the interior that would normally be under the dashboard and created an awful lot more floor space. So you've got the heater matrix, the heater, all the heater controls and everything, they're all under the bonnet. So all shifted out, behind the firewall. And that gives a vast amount of interior space. But it means that obviously rather than having a space under the bonnet where you'd put your charge cable, instead you've got more room inside the car.
Yeah. I've
had a couple of cars with fruits, whatever you want to call them. My wife had a Jaguar I-Pace on contract hire, and that had a frunk, and we never used it for anything. It literally, because it didn't have a normal boot release, you had to go inside and pull a lever like you do with a normal bonnet, and then you have to go unlatch it and everything. It wasn't as easy as a normal boot. And, leaning across the front of the car to reach into this little pit to pull out a charging cable isn't the most convenient. So we never really used it. I think we kept some screen wash in there. And then when we handed the car back, we just took the full bottle, like 5-gallon bottle of screen wash out. We never used the thing. And then she's got a front trunk on the Volvo she's got at the moment, which is a company car. And again, we don't use that either. It's just, it's just redundant space. So yes, it's there. We could theoretically put something in it, but when you've got an electric tailgate, which opens when you waggle your foot under it, that's a lot more convenient for putting things in compared to going into the passenger footwell, pulling a lever, rolling around underneath, trying to fiddle for the latch underneath the bonnet, and put what is basically a single bag of shopping in there. So yeah, I'm unconvinced by front trunks and fruits. I think that I agree, if you've got loads of space there, use it for something, but I think it's better if they move stuff out of the interior into that front space and give you more lounge-like. Car designers love to use phrases like a lounge-like experience, where you get full reclining and plenty of space and all that sort of malarkey. But I think genuinely, from sitting in cars like the Araya, you do feel like actually it makes quite a lot of sense to get all that stuff. We don't need all that stuff around our legs. And it's going to ultimately help in crash testing as well, because the less stuff you've got projecting out of the dashboard underneath that could potentially come into contact with limbs, the better it's got to be in terms of crash worthiness.
The only thing I always think would be a good idea is if they had some kind of holder underneath the bonnet or something for your slow charger, because underneath the boot, as it is on the ZS just now, if you've loaded up the car and you've got golf clubs, suitcases and everything, and you do need into it, what a hassle it is. So much so when I'm loading up the car, I actually take it out and put it under the driver's seat in case I'm going to need it at some stage.
Well, on the new MG5, the 3-pin plug is in a carry case, which is mounted to the driver's side rear of the boot space. So if it's in like a little net pocket on the side, so that's out of the way. So even if you put stuff in the middle of the boot, you can sort of get down the side to get to the charger if you need to. So there's sort of thoughts about that with that. I imagine a similar sort of scenario with the MG4 might be possible. I think that sort of layout is, again, I think it's a more natural place for people to look for stuff as well.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm mindful of time. We've still got one other topic to cover, which is the boot liner. Les, have you been doing some work on this, is it?
Yeah, I've been with this for the last couple of months, actually. It took a while, but it's done now. Company called Hatchbag, in Birkenhead, Merseyside. And they've designed this liner. They use my car and another member's car, which is the long-range version. Mine's the standard range, as I've said before. And I went over there about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and they measured it all up, scanned it, everything. And then I went back on Monday last week, and they fitted it to my car. And my car is now fully fitted with it. There is a full link about it on the forum. Pictures and everything is on there, everything about it. Yesterday, they released all the prices for it. It comes in several pieces. It's not a one-piece thing. The actual boot space itself has a floor which comes up across the bumper. You've got the floor there. It comes up with the latches for the bumper. That comes in there. And then it goes down across the boot. It goes up the sides, and that is totally in one piece. It's waterproof. You just couldn't put anything through it. And then the back, up the back of the back seats, it is in 2 pieces in mine. Now, there's some confusion over this, but apparently the basic thing what you can buy, which just does the floor, the side panels, and the back seat, that is one thing, but you cannot fold the seats down with that in position, or you've got difficulty folding the seats down. With the one that I've got in, which is the next one up, it's got a split rear on the back seat, so you can still fold the seats individually. You can still put one down or the other down, or both down, whichever you want to do. It's pretty easy. You've got to undo the straps that all the back up into the headrest area, and there's several configurations for it. On the Hatchbag website itself, they'll give you all the information that you need. It's all there. There's videos. I've actually put the videos on the forum yesterday of how to fit it. It's quite straightforward. There was one hiccup with it with me, and I brought this up with the company who made the thing, and that is the fact that once the bag is fitted into position, If you're carrying a spur wheel or a puncture refer outfit, it may no difference what, underneath the boot floor, you're going to have to undo it all to get at it. Which for me was a bit of a, at first I thought, oh my God, no. But I thought then, no, how often am I going to want the spur wheel, or how often am I going to want the canister to a flat tire? It's going to be very occasional. And more often than not, you've got your boot full of stuff anyway, you've got to take out regardless. So it's just another little bit of extra you've got to take out. They also have put on the website, they're now making a floor mat, which goes on top of the hatchbag, as is, so it's fully waterproof. Anybody with dogs, it's a must. It's an absolute must, because it's brilliant. You can just wipe it out with a damp cloth, and it's clean, it's waterproof. And they've actually designed some mats now you can put in there. There's 2 or 3 different ones. There's a rubber one, and then there's a fabric one, and then there's one which is like an odor eater, so it just absorbs all the smells, etc. So yeah, it's good. It's very good. It's well made. It's well engineered, and it's a lovely fit once it's in. It's not a problem at all. I've got it in mind now. It's been in there now for a couple of weeks. Never moved. It's been fine. And the other chap, Fireman Axe, I think he goes under. He had his fitted yesterday, I think it was, on Monday rather. I think it was. Yeah, yesterday. And he's got the long range version of the MG5, which has got the split floor. Now, the thing with that is they're giving the options now of having the short range, like mine is, with a standard floor. It's not vertical. And then you've got the option then to have a line of made that will fit with the floor in the lower position on the long range car or the upper position. You've got to choose. One won't fit both. They're both different, because obviously the sides, when the floor's raised up about, what, 5 or 6 inches, I'm not sure. Obviously the sides are going to be 5 or 6 inches shorter, because it comes up, it's all in one piece, and it's all sealed and waterproofed and velcroed together at the back with the back seat. So you need to choose whether you're going to have your floor in the lower position all the time or the upper position all the time. I mean, I personally have never seen the point of this vertical floor. I don't know what it's all about, because you're just losing luggage capacity for me. You're going to lift the floor up 6 inches just to throw a couple of cables underneath. You're losing quite a bit of capacity in my book. So yeah, it's a good item. It's reasonable for what it is. It is a bit pricey if you go for everything, because there's extra pieces you can buy that cover the headrests. I didn't get them. They didn't come with mine, but Axe got them with these. That was about an £86 extra. And then there's another piece, like an extension piece, so that when the seats are down, when you put the seats forward, this goes then on the back of the driver and passenger seat and absolutely seals the whole lot, the full length of the car. And it's velcroed in at the back, velcroed in at the side. It's really good, really good. And it's very, very strong and durable. And I'm sure it'll last a good while. I'm sure it will. Great if you've got animals. Absolutely brilliant if you've got animals. I know my son had a husky, and believe you me, his car was absolutely thick with dog hairs, because the husky had murder for it. And every time they'd been for a walk, she was caked in mud, and he was forever trying to clean it up. This thing wouldn't be a problem. Just wipe it out with a damp cloth, and it'd be clean as a whistle. Really good. Yeah.
I'm looking. So I'm just looking at the thread on that. I've not been following your thread, Les. I'm sorry. I've just been catching up with it now. So the basic set is about £125.
That's for the basic bottom and the 2 sides, and just a piece that goes up the back, but you can't fold the seats with that. It's about 125.
Yeah, and then if you go for everything, worst case scenario is about £250. Is that right?
Well, if you go for everything like I've got, which is the split seat, so you can fold it forward, and the seat extender, and I forgot to mention, there's another piece that goes on which lifts out over the rear bumper. You're getting animals climbing them up in and out. That protects the bumper. There's that piece as well. That's another piece that I've got. My set would come in at around £242 complete. And then if you go for the headrest covers, as I said, they're about £80 here again. That takes it up to about £329, £330 for the whole set.
It does look like a really comprehensive set. And actually, even if you get the full £300 thing, I know it's easy to throw away numbers, but to be fair, when you've got a dog, Jake, I'm just thinking about me and you here, mate. when you've got, if you've got a dog, you know how hard it is to get dog hair out. If you got a new car and you put this in your boot day one,
Yeah.
you're mint. It's never going to be. You're not going to have an issue with your dog hairs. You're not going to have an issue with, trying to trade in a car that looks like it's been used as a dog grooming salon for the last 6 years.
Exactly, Miles. Exactly, and it's all just velcroed in.
I'm really impressed with the fit. I'm really impressed with the fit, how they've got around the side pockets and stuff. I didn't expect anything like that.
Really good. It's really good. It's all fitted in there and it's solid. It's absolutely solid. And what they've done is they've put like a slit in it, but it's all stitched and everything. It's really well made. And that's in position there around them pockets. And on my car, I've only got one netted pocket on the right-hand side in my car.
Yeah.
The long range has got 2 netted pockets. But on the other side of mine, there's like a little cubby hole. Like a little recess. What's the granny charger fits in? Absolutely perfect. And it's been in those since the day I bought it. Never moved. It's been brilliant. Just stand up in an upright position. So it's really good and it is really well made. It's very, very strong. And I'm sure it'll last for many years. The hiccups with it is when you want to drop the back seats, basically, you need to undo the tie straps that are wrapped around the headrests. So
it keeps tension otherwise. Yeah,
it just takes the tension off it. So they go forward, and then what was on the back seat lies over that. And then if you put the extension piece in across the front seats and pull it back, it covers the whole car. It's absolutely superb. It's really good, really, really good. Comes in about.
Is it made from like a vinyl was?
It is. It's like I don't know what you call it, Jake. It's not plastic. It's definitely not plastic. Yeah. It's a very hard wearing cloth.
Is it like a fabric covered in vinyl? Is it like a sort of is it like cloth one side, vinyl the other sort of? Like a bit like a
no, it's the same.
Like I've got like a heavy duty cover for my outdoor table and chairs sort of thing, and that's like
that kind of stuff. Yes, that's the kind of stuff it is. And when it's in position, I would say it's practically waterproof. Practically waterproof, definitely mud and doggo proof and things like that. For an animal, absolutely essential in my book. And I mean, I haven't got a dog now. Our dog died. We haven't got a dog now. But at the end of the day, you want to make a tip up to the local tip with a lawn, what have you? You know, you take it up there. It'd be great. Keep, no hoovering out when you come back. Just a quick wipe over with a damn cloth, and it's clean.
Yeah, looks brilliant. Do you do one for the ZS as well?
Not yet, not as I know of. Anyway, there's not.
Right, Jake.
They do one for the HS. There's one for the HS. Why they've not done the ZS, I don't know. Whether they are going to do, I have no idea. But
Jake,
give me my number, Les, and I'll go over.
You've got MG5 is available now. If you go on the Hatchbag website, I have put the link in the description in the forum. It's all in there. Perfect. Go on there and you'll see everything you want to get.
Perfect. Thanks. That was good.
Yeah, I would think you've got to get the money back in the improved residuals when you come to dispose of the car.
Definitely. If you was going to get one, if you got a new car, a new MG5 tomorrow, and you bought one of these and fitted it in, when you take it out again, your car will be like brand new. As simple as that.
I think
my car's got a bit of word on it now because it's what 18 months only enough, and it's never had one of these until last week. So there's 1 or 2 little scuffs in there here and there, which you will get in a boot. So I think it's well worth the money, quite honestly.
I'm just thinking, even though I wouldn't put my dog in pulling out a crate, I still think that, like, the number of times I've been doing things in my garden, I've bought like bags of slate chippings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you go to stick them out the boot, and it's all in the carpet. It's all, there's mud everywhere. I think that. Yeah, no, honestly, I think it's a really good idea, that. And
the best one is is a burst bag of compost, and it goes everywhere. Believe you me.
I did a whole planting and stuff, and it was absolutely bloody everywhere. Yeah, and with it being carpet, you can't just vac it out because it gets under all of the fibres, doesn't it? It's a pain. Yeah, okay. No, definitely a good thing.
Well, yeah. Anybody who's got one of the MG rubber liners, the floor liner, what you could buy when the MG5 first came out. I don't think it's available anymore, but you could buy it when it first came out. It was part of a comfort pack as well. You could buy it with your front mud flaps and go. That's what I got when I got mine anyway, convenience pack. But if you've got that rubber liner, you can put that on top of it, and that is then completely waterproof. There's nothing will go through that. There's no way on this planet it'll go through that. It's solid.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Anyway, guys, if anybody's just tuned in, they think they're on Les and Miles shopping channel. So next week we'll be discussing lawnmowers. Oh no, we did that this week.
We've done that before.
I'm mindful of time, guys, so we'll have to bring this to an end. Thanks very much for that, Les. And again, thank you for all your contribution. You always seem to get really sleeves rolled up and things like this. It's great to have you on board.
Well, I do my best, Dave.
So, final comments before we go. Remember, we've got our sister forum, Aura EV, which looks at the Aura electric car, the Aura Cat, and it's coming to UK soon. We're not quite sure exactly when, but it certainly looks a very interesting alternative. So we've covered all the 3 points we're going to cover tonight. My thanks go to Les Burrows. Les?
Thank you, Dave.
To Jake, thanks for joining in, Jake.
Take care, everybody.
For Barry Harper, thanks for letting me have the hot seat back, Barry.
That's all right. Good evening, everyone.
And as ever, very, very grateful to Miles.
No, anytime. Thanks, guys.
We'll be back with another MG EV podcast soon. If you found the podcast useful, please click on the like button. Also, if you subscribe, you'll get notified next time when we go live, which is particularly useful if we change the day like we did this week. So thanks and good night from everybody, and we'll see you at the next podcast. Thanks, everybody.